Immigration enforcement is intensifying under the Trump administration, and now local law enforcement in Georgia is playing a role in growing efforts here. 11Alive investigative reporter Zach Merchant has looked at the data behind those who are being arrested and what's happening once they're flagged for ICE. Zach, welcome back to the show.
Tesley, always good to be here, always good to see you.
Yeah, why did you want to report on this in the first place?
Well, look, it is no secret, right? Immigration enforcement has been at the forefront of our political conversation, both in Georgia and around the country for a long time now, especially as we look back in the last, 12 to 18 months. It was a huge focal point in the 2024 presidential election, and it's a big topic that has a lot of different perspectives. It sparks really strong emotions, right? What we wanted to do is try to dig into the actual data and get a snapshot of who is being arrested, what they're being charged for, and what is happening to them. That was our goal of this project.
Yeah. So what did you uncover?
Well, as with anything, especially in a big topic like this, we want to be really clear off the front. This is just a snapshot. We are not able to encapsulate every item, every arrest, every person whose experiences brings them under the kind of purview of immigration enforcement. That said, we did take the snapshot. We looked at there are about 31 agencies in Georgia that are part of what's known as the 287G program. That's a local and federal partnership where local law enforcement agencies can share information with federal immigration authorities like ICE. We took a look at data from about a dozen of those local agencies, and we reviewed more than 600 incidents of people being arrested and then having their information shared with federal authorities.
What did the data reveal?
Well, look, when we're talking about this 287G program, these local authorities, they are not primarily enforcing immigration laws. They've got to arrest you, they've got to pull you over for a state charge, a local charge. That's where they have their authority. What we found is that almost half of all of the people in these 600 arrests that got flagged for ICE, almost half of them were initially stopped, initially arrested by local law enforcement authorities for not particularly serious charges. We're talking about 47% of these arrests were for traffic charges. There were another about 10 to 15% that were for DUIs, which are, not to say it's not serious, but only something about 10 to 15% of the arrests that we were able to uncover through our research were for more serious violent crimes.
All right, what did ICE have to say about this?
We tried to get their perspective in our reporting, and ultimately we were never able to do so. We spent weeks going back and forth with communication staffers for ICE and their Southeast Division, asked them to sit with us for an on-camera interview, which is obviously, of course, what we prefer to do. We want to make sure everybody has a chance to share their perspective. Even went one step beyond that and said, hey, if you don't want to sit down with us, can you answer some written questions? Never ultimately agreed. We never got those answers from them.
Wow. All right. What about supporters or opponents to the efforts? What do they have to tell you?
Well, like with anything, and particularly a controversial issue like immigration enforcement, opponents argue, and we talked with one woman who is an immigration attorney. She's got experience in this field. She primarily defends people who are arrested and brought into the immigration enforcement system. She raised some big red flags, and she said she worries that this enhanced immigration enforcement is overreach. Of course, on the other side, we also talked to Georgia State House Majority Leader Chuck F. Strachan. He's a Republican. He helped shepherd a bill through the state legislature last year. That's House Bill 1105, and that was really the catalyzing moment that brought this 287G local federal partnership kind of into more prominence. And he made the argument that I'm sure you have heard, we have heard a lot on the campaign trail. He said, look, if you want to come into the United States, you got to follow the immigration laws. And if you don't, this immigration enforcement can be the consequences of your decisions.
Yeah. All right, Zach, really appreciate it. Looking forward to your report tonight, man.
Thanks, Tesley. Appreciate you.
All right, and you can catch Zach's full report tonight on 11 Live News at 11 and right here on 11 Live Plus. Of course, we'll all be watching. And if you have a tip you want Zach to investigate, you can call him at 404-873-9111 or email him at investigates@11alive.com.